All right, looks like we're live. Let's see if we can keep this stream going this time. Ending at 5 seconds into the stream. Give people a little time to show up. So we'll just hang out. I know what you guys are all thinking right now, and we'll get into this a little more later. But like Z-axis, this is the third time in a row. Why are we doing the Z-axis again? And we're going to go back and fix one mistake that we forgot during the build process. It's pretty simple, but again, I made the mistake so that hopefully you won't have to in your build. This will all be compiled down into at least a very basic set of instructions, if not a full instructional video for you guys to follow. So yeah, I'm just going to give a few minutes for people to show up. If you just give me a shout in chat when you're here, then we'll go from there. Looks like I've got some feedback. I wonder if my gain's up too high. Not feedback, some noise. Just judging by the audio level there. That looks a little better. Hopefully you can't hear too much furnace noise in the background. Mainly, I'm waiting for Chip to show up. We do have one change to make to the bill of materials for the kit. Just want to review that before we get too far into anything else. While I'm waiting, might as well make sure I've got everything ready here that we're going to be using on the stream today. Maybe clean up a little bit. These are our washers. Won't need that today. Shouldn't need that. And for the motor melt parts, let's see what we've got. All right, Chip says he's in. I don't know what's up with my live broadcast. I don't know if you guys, let's check this out. It seems to always be off. Like it says current viewers 0, 0 views, 0 chat rate. So I don't know how much I trust that really, but that's where we're at. But Chip, glad to see you here. I wouldn't be able to do this without you. Chip, he's asking in Discord the preferred method of messaging during the stream. It's probably a little easier if it's relevant to the build and instructions. Just go ahead and post it in the YouTube live chat. If it's something that we need to discuss offline, you can message it to me on Discord. But I'll see, or I guess if you're messaging me in the YouTube live chat and I don't hear or see it, let me know on Discord. Because Discord will at least give me a little alert. But let's talk in chat so that for posterity's sake, people can see in the future if it's relevant to the build, instructions or recommendations. That should work pretty well. All right, so yeah, we've got one concurrent viewer, Chip, none other than the creator of this project. So Chip, why don't we just take a look at what problems I'm running into? I mean, not really a problem, but the M3 square nuts that we have for this build, I actually might have thrown the bag away, but we had 27 in the bag. We declared 21 in the bill of materials. I just checked that, But it looks like we're going to need a few more than that, because as I started inserting the square nuts into the parts here, I ended up running out. And so I checked the CAD, and if we look at the CAD, if we just do like a search by name, I think it's whoops, not that. No, name. 3, no. It looks like, I mean, at least from what this counts, we've got 32. So I didn't have enough for this build right now. So I only got the square nuts into the bottom mounts here. I don't have them in the top. Even with the 20% extra, we ended up coming up a little bit short. So I've made notes to make that change in the kit. But just want to give you that heads up before we get too far into the stream. So on that note, for everyone else, what we ended up missing in the last stream, I'm just going to do a quick review of this really quick. I inserted all the square nuts off camera, but wanted to show the process. We come back over here. So take this out. We didn't do this last time, but looking in this part, there's a little recess right there that we need to insert one of the square, the M3 square nuts. And we're just going to slot it right inside there. And that's going to make it so that we can run a bolt through the part here and fasten the rod into place so it doesn't move. Once you install on the frame, you'll lose access to this slot. So do that ahead of time. So this is future me talking to past me retroactively. Make sure you don't forget that part. So, I think step 1 of the build, instead of just jumping into it like I did, is maybe going to be, prep the parts, do all the heat inserts, insert all the square nuts, do all of that ahead of time. So anyway, we're doing this after the install. I've inserted the square nut there. This is easier to do on its side, because if you try to put the nut into place, you turn it upside down, it's just going to fall right out. So doing it from the side is a little bit easier here. And we're just going to kind of cheat here, put it right back into place. And if we're lucky, our roll-in nuts won't have moved too far. We can just kind of reuse the same position. They're up and down. Ooh, that's smooth. I like that. Give it some tightening. I still need to replace this bearing. I didn't do that yet because I lost a couple of the balls in there, but we'll get to that eventually. Oh man, sorry Chip, I swear I posted that in the ProosaXY channel, but I guess I missed it. Where else did I post that then? That's weird. But yeah, thanks for posting that link. Hopefully we'll have a few more people join. But if not, at least we have everything recording and we can continue this build, man. So we're back in business. I've got the M3 nuts here. Let's go ahead and just insert the screws here to tighten those rods up where we can. And then we'll get to the motors. So looking at this, we're going to M3 by 25s. And I'm fairly certain that's going to be the same for all of them. Let's check. Again, looking at cab, this is where I'm checking. Double click it. We see down in the corner, M3 by 25. So, I don't think I've got those out right now. Pull out the fastener kit. Where'd they go? All right, that might be a problem because we've got two M3 by 25s left after what we've done so far. So this might be another change we need to adjust the quantity of in the final kit. Just curious. Let's take a look at this. So M3 by 25, right? So let's do a search by name. M3 25. Was it like that or was it X? Might have been X. Yeah, okay, so I'm seeing that there should be 22 of these, but our kit, we had 8 in, which I think would mean that we only declared 6. So I think, based on what I'm looking at, yeah, we'll need to adjust that as well. So I'm going to make a note of that. So M3 by 25, we declared 6, but I think we'll need 22. Let me know if I'm off on that or if I'm just missing something. This is the purpose of test kits, guys. Also, Chip, I'm not sure if we did this for the Prusa, but we had a script for the snake oil to count up all the fasteners. I thought I was working on trying to adapt that for the Prusa CAD. So we might need to revisit that. Maybe that can help do a more automated check. But, as we go through it, we'll find out when we're short different screws. So not a problem. Awesome. You've got it on your side too. Yeah, if you can help take notes as well, and then we'll compare at the end just to make sure we've got double coverage. So we're going to do the process of, we're just going to show how to tighten these up. But I'm going to be short a couple of screws and a couple of nuts. Not a problem though. Now, of course, that's interesting. That didn't lock in there. Maybe we actually need M3 by 30s. Let's see. Okay. It suggests, we can use a socket head on those for now. That's okay. So let's go back and check here really quick. So this looks like it fits. Ooh, but just like barely, Let's hide this guy. Whoa, where did that go? That got crazy real quick. Let's do this. Let's find it in the browser, then isolate this. Waiting. Okay, so that's our square nut. So we should just be able to get in there. So let's check if this is actually 25 millimeter. Yeah, it says so. So I don't know if my parts are just not quite right, or maybe the other thing it could be is this, the gap here. The nut might be pushed back here. And so it might not, just might not quite have enough room to engage. I think that might be what's going on in my situation. But an M3 by 30 would probably be too long. So, Chip, we might need to look at either adapting this part or moving this pocket up just like a millimeter or two. Let me know what you think. It was really, really loose, so we might even be able to tighten it down just a little bit. But I'm going to make that note as well. Awesome. I get a little excited every time I find something that needs to be changed or needs to be adjusted. So that means that's one less thing that you guys are going to run into in your builds. And so again, this is what beta testing is for. So fortunately for us, that's not a showstopper. We don't really care if we've got a little bit of a little bit looser rods right now, if they're not fastened in all the way, or if we don't have the M3 nuts for everything right now. You know, it'll still go up and down. We can still continue our build, and we can fix this later. Cool. So I think that leaves us with getting started on the motors. Check into those. So our motors are mounted from the bottom. We screw in right here. I'm trying to check and see what these are for right here. What do these do? Are these just support, Chip? Are these support rods basically? These two screws right here? I'm thinking they are. M3 by 25s again. Nice. But I think these are just there to basically add some rigidity to the motor mount. But I don't think they actually screw into anything specifically. So again, that's one of the parts that we don't have enough of, the M3 by 25s. So they're mainly there for rigidity. It looks like we can just, yeah. Chip says, yep, just for reinforcement. So yeah, we can totally put those in after the fact. Cool. So before we do the motors, we're gonna do the palm nuts that they're gonna go into. Actually, I don't know. Chip, what do you think? Should we install the motors first and then screw the palm nuts on, and then screw them into the part, or should we install the palm nuts first, thread it on? I mean, it probably doesn't matter one way or the other. I'm not sure if one of those ends up being easier in the long run. All right, palm nut on the bed frame first. You heard the man. Again, these will come in your kit. Three of them to be exact. Let's get that put in place here. Now, your kit is going to come with one motor with the integrated lead screw. You're going to reuse the other two from your original Mark III. I've got a couple of other different motors floating around as well. But with this, we're actually going to take out the brass nut here. So just go ahead and unscrew that. This is my first time using integrated lead screws. Cool idea. You know, I've never been dropped it. I've never been a huge fan of lead screws, but they do add some simplicity in contrast to belts or linear rails. But this is the idea for these palm nuts. You're gonna have a spring, you're gonna have a top, and you're gonna have a bottom. These two pieces fit together like so. Like so. If I can do it like that. But you're gonna put the spring in place first. Then you're gonna push these down. Actually, as I say this, I don't know if this is the right method or not, or if it's better to like put one on and then screw it on, but this is what I think I've done in the past. You know what, actually, I think it might be easier if we screw this on first. Let's raise the camera up. Zoom in just a little bit. Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. So we might have to undo these motor mounts, but yeah, I'm with you there. So we put this on. We're gonna unscrew this. Oop. Zoomed in too far, didn't go high enough. Right about there. So we're gonna unscrew this until the black piece is sitting proud of the lead screw. And I'm pretty sure we can just pop this down, line those keys up, the slots up, like we did before, and then just start twisting it down. Oh, we messed up. Like so. So it's going to move up and down. And there's a little bit of wiggle room there, but not much. You can pull and push it up and down or twist it. Chip, I don't know if this is a problem, but if I have a little bit of a gap there, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little bit of a gap between the teeth. I don't think that really matters. This is just supposed to be an Oldham coupling or an Oldham coupling. I'm not sure how you pronounce it, actually. Okay, yeah, he says, put them together, then screw the lead screw in. So I think I had the right idea the first time and then made it harder on myself. So we hold them in place. Holding them in place and getting them without letting them go sideways. It's a little tricky, but I figure once I do it once, it's not going to be too bad. I haven't used the palm ones like this before. I've only used the brass ones, which are, don't have quite as much play, but this is fine. No, I think it was actually kind of fine before, to be honest. As you twist from the top, it should twist both at the same time. Yeah, so I think there's a little bit of a gap there because that's just where the threads line up. But as long as the top turns with the bottom, that's what we want. There's just that slot doesn't go all the way in. I don't even know if that's showing up on camera very well. So there's a little gap in there. Yeah, Chip says that's fine. Okay, if it works, it works. Okay, I have it. I was screwing it down pretty far. Let's bring this back down. Oh, maybe up around here. No, we had installed these before, but this probably isn't going to line up perfectly, so we're just going to take the motor mount off. And in the spirit of what I was talking about with part prep, even though the kit I have didn't have enough M3x25s, pretty sure I've got enough hanging around somewhere else. Let's see if we can do that. So I'm reaching into an assorted kit that I get these off of Amazon. M3 by 25 is the second one over, so we're going to take 2, 4, and 6. Side. And prep the part. See if I can get a real good up close to this. Not that it matters, but trying to improve my camera skills here as well. And again, these are just to reinforce the part, so they're not going to screw into anything other than just the plastic. So get them started by hand, even though they are not screwing into any threads. If you start going in sideways, you're going to have a hard time. Okay, once those are started, do I have the right one for this? I don't think I do. Fortunately not. Oh yeah, these are the other one. Oh, where's my other light green one? Like I might have misplaced one of my wrenches here. I don't know if I have the right one. So we'll get to that when we get to it. But for now, basically just screw those in. Don't gotta ream them out. Don't keep twisting after it's already set. But let's check what size screws we need for these. M3 by 10s, it looks like. Going back here. These we should have in our kit. M3 by 10s, and okay, I've got the button heads. There is a difference. You know, these are button heads, as they're called. We want the socket cap heads. M3 by 10 hex, or hex head is sometimes what they're called, even though they're both hex technically. So these are the ones we want. M3 by 10 hex. Notice the head on those is a little different. It might be a tiny bit of a tight fit, but they should still kind of push through there. And I'm keeping an eye out for that other wrench that I had. I don't know where I ended up putting it. Actually, no, I do have one idea. I'll check here in just a second. Haha! Found it. Don't forget washer. Oh, on the motor here. Yep, you're right. Okay, let's do that. How could I not check if there was a washer? Thank you, Chip. Thank you. Work all those out. Now, I did see. Not sure which one we're supposed to be using, but we have these ones as well. But I think these were the precision washers that we need for something else. But if I should be using these and not the other ones we've been using, let me know. I didn't actually double check which one, but I do like that these have a little bit more width to them compared to these smaller ones. Okay. So we know we're going to need 12 of these. 4, 8, 12. So I'm just going to go ahead and prep these with washers. Sometimes I just like to get it all set up so that I'm not going back and forth between grab a screw, grab a washer, put a few in, then grab a screw and washer, put them in. Just grab all the screws, put all the washers in. Sometimes makes it easier. It says as long as these thicker ones fit into the hole, which I believe they do. Nice and easy there. You can see on the bottom. So I think we're good there. I guess that's another thing you can do as well. It might be easier instead of prepping the screws like I've been doing. Just pop a washer in. And then the screw. May seem like I changed my tactics a lot, changed my methods a lot, and I do, because I usually start with just whatever intuitively makes the most sense at the time. But who was it that said, like, really smart people change their mind a lot? Because in the face of new information, you want to be able to adapt to the better method. If you're stuck in your ways and nope, this is the way I do it and this is the right way and you can't adapt, then you get left behind. In our age of technology and new advancements coming out, feels like every day, if you're not adapting, you're getting left behind, man. I would rather start an imperfect method and then change and adapt as new information comes along. Woo! Dropping screws, dropping screws. Take the ones I did prep. Either way seems to work just fine. I think pre-inserting the washers saves a bit of time, but it's not going to make a huge difference either way. Okay. Okay, 4 more washers, 4 more screws. Perfect. Don't you just love it when you go to dump out of the bag? You just get the right amount right off the bat. Hardly ever happens for me, but pretty convenient when it does. Sorry I wasn't able to stream last time, guys. I don't remember if I talked about it before, but on our minivan, doing tire rotations, oil changes, I noticed there was a big bulge on the inside of the sidewall, and that needed to get fixed, and the tire place was only open today from like noon to 2, so had to get the car up on the lift, take the wheels off, drag them in so they can get them replaced, and take two off. You know, if your wheels are kind of worn, don't ever want to just replace one tire. You need to get matching set so that they wear evenly. You've got one that's worn down, and the other one that's like brand new. You're going to be off balance, and they're going to wear unevenly, and you'll just end up paying more money in the long run. So, you know, if it's front wheel drive or rear wheel drive, you can replace two at a time, do the matching set. If you've got all wheel drive, well, just get all four, because your all wheel drive wants even tread on all four tires, otherwise you'll mess things up. So, little ramblings from an amateur mechanic here. All right, so we've got the screws pre-inserted here. We're gonna get our motor, and it is good to pay attention. You know, this can go in a number of different ways, but the connection for the wiring, sometimes it matters where that's at, and it might be easier to wire one end compared to the other. So we're just going to check the CAD and try to do it consistent with that. So it looks like in our case, all wiring points to the back of the printer. And that makes sense because that's where the wiring is going to go. So as we install this, we're going to think about, you know, the back of the printer is going to be face down in this case. So we want our motors installed like so. So they're going to be facing that connection's right here, and it's facing down towards the back of the printer. So if you grab, you know, one of these and you think, okay, yep, I'm mounting it like this, right? So it's right in the middle. We're going to take wait a minute. I think I'm doing that upside down because it's going to go. Is it easier if we just move this all the way to the bottom? I mean, not that it really shouldn't matter, but I can't quite get that. Oh, there we go. There we go. So if I'm thinking about this right, so you can go to the top, yes. Oh no, it mounts from the bottom. You'll have to mount the bed frame first. Oh, mount the nut to the bed frame first. Okay. So I think what Chip is telling me here. So did I mess up it by putting this in first? I think I did. So we want to unscrew this. Woo! There she goes. And I really hope there's no one out there in the future trying to watch my live build for the instructions, because if you do, you're going to be undoing yourself quite a few times. It's like I'm doing here. Take this. And then we're going to, I'm going to just grab this to show you. We're going to take our palm nut. Let's zoom out. Take our palm nut, the top piece, and that's going to line up with those 4 heat inserts. And, twist it until you get, I don't think I can do it one-handed, but you'll want to make sure those holes are lined up. Chip, let me know if this is what you were talking about. I think it is, because I see what you were talking about. Like, I don't think I was going to be able to insert the motor from the bottom, because like this has to sit on top like that. So this is what we're doing now. What were these screws? M3x8 button head. Go ahead and find those. Okay. Then we'll get that later. Do these use washers? They do not appear to use washers, so no washers here. Just a nice, simple bolt. Set this aside for now. Is this the right one? I think we tried this before. This is not the right one. This one should be. Might need to twist and line up just to get things working right. Don't cross thread these. You'll hate yourself if you do. Don't torque it down. Just get it started. Go opposite. Let's see if we can get a little bit of a downward angle here. Like so. Maybe. Yeah, let's try that. So I just very loosely snugged this one up, not even tight, just kind of close. We're gonna do the same over here. On the opposite side, over here. Then tighten a little more. Little squeakies, that just means we have some binding, but should be okay. Should center itself. Again, do not over torque these. You'll either strip it out or pull the heat insert out. Okay, that feels pretty good. Do the other sides. Chip brings up a good point. The lead screw in the kit should be the right length, but if you're reusing the ones from your original Mark III, you might end up having to cut them. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it, but let's keep that in mind. Cool. So we have a pretty decent angle right here for the camera. Where did our palm nuts go? Right here. And just to keep track of this, I'm going to put the nut on here. Okay, take the spring off. Just keep track of that there. The other ones we'll just leave in the bag for now, since we don't have the other motors out yet. Chip, so for cutting the motor mount, or the motor shafts, can we just use a hacksaw for that, or is this hardened? But I don't think this is hardened, so a hacksaw and just a reasonable jig should get the job done. Torque those, or not torque, but set those in there. Get our screws here. We have one left over from last time too. Chip says he used a Dremel or an angle grinder. I've got a Dremel if I need to use that. I generally prefer the hacksaw just because I have a little more control, and I'm a little worried about using miter saws or power tools on my 3D printed parts, but we'll see what we can do. One, again, go opposite side here. These went in a lot smoother than the other side. And just barely snug here, not too much. And then we're going to tighten it up. Just a bit. Okay. Oh, wow. Interesting. So I started pushing that in there, and a little bit of a little bit of the plastic fell out from when they were tapping those holes. Not a big deal. That's just part of what happens with plastic. But it looks like, yeah, they were drilling it out. There was just a little shaving in there. No biggie. But I didn't want it falling into my heat insert and getting those threads all bound up. Here. One, two, three, four. Nailed it. What do you guys think of this camera angle, the downward angle? I think that's working a little bit better. That way my hands, when they're right here, they're not blocking the whole thing that I'm doing. Come on. There we go. And it's going to be a little easier if I can get a setting back here so I have as much rotation as possible before I have to lift it back out again. That's where it's taking me the most time. It looks like about one full turn after the amount of tightness I was giving it before is about right. That will vary depending on how far you're able to screw in on the initial one. Like this one needs just a touch more. Just like that. Last one. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so now we've got all of our plum nuts in there. Looks like Chip sent a link for maybe a jig here. Let's take a look. Oh, interesting. Follow that? On my other screen, I think. Watch out, Merlin. Sorry. Ran into my dog with my chair. I'm gonna pop this up on the screen. Looks like this is what Chip has recommended. And I think you guys can see that. On my screen, I've got something in the way. Okay. So yeah, whenever you're cutting things and you're trying to be as precise as possible, a jig is really, really helpful. I like the looks of this one. So it kind of, with what it looks like, it kind of turns your Dremel into a miter saw or chop saw, as some people call it. So as your Dremel is mounted there, you can lift it up and cut down. So we may end up just installing one motor tonight, and then I'll print this and cut the other motors. But if we see the process for one motor here, I don't really see the need to film the process of printing the jig and doing the other three. But I don't know. Let me know if you guys think it would be helpful to show using that tool to cut the motor lead screws. So for now, let's install our right side motor. Trying to get this screw back out of there. Nice. Put it back in the bag so we don't lose it. Right? Thinking of the best way to do this. Now we have the wrench now, so I can show the process of. I mean, not that this is anything too fancy. Just set the frame back down here for a second, and we're just gonna tighten these up. And even though there's no threads in there, as you tighten, they should tap themselves, make their own threads. You can start, doing this, and then eventually it's going to start hitting the other screw. And so just switch it up. Go back over here. The same process. Looks like I need to back that up just a bit. There we go. And once it kind of gets to this level, you can keep turning just a little bit, but as soon as you start to feel it getting looser, you know, as soon as the resistance starts getting easier, you're done. Just leave it be at that point. And those help prevent this part from bending and warping. So just a little bit of reinforcement. I like it. I like it a lot. Let's go ahead and do the other ones while we're at it, while I'm thinking about it. So otherwise, today's stream is going to be pretty short overall. Might as well get some stuff done. I am planning to stream again tomorrow, barring any conflicts that come up. But I'll try to give you guys a heads up around noon my time, if it's something I can do. I'd still be starting the stream around 8 p.m. my time, mountain time. But I'll try to let you know earlier in the day so you guys can plan accordingly. But overall, I'm happy with the progress of this build, even though it's going a little bit slower than you know most builds I think would go. I've been enjoying it. It's nice to actually like get back in the saddle and do a build again. It's been, man. I mean, so I built my snake at least feels like 3 or 4 years ago now, I think. And I haven't done any full builds since then. Just lots of mods and beta testing on the snake, which is always fun. But because of that, the snake is out of commission more often than not because I've got it taken apart for, you know, new bed leveling mounts, new gantry, X gantry. We went from 1515 to 2020, and now I'm installing some. I'm still supposed to be testing some with the FR4, you know, fiberglass reinforced plates. And I got that done, but I'm planning to convert it to using CAN bus as well. So I've got all the parts for that, but I just haven't quite gotten around to finishing the wiring, and then of course all the programming and software that comes along with that. Not that that's too difficult. I get the basic concept of it. It's just been something I haven't taken the time for quite yet. Okay, so we've got our four motor mounts with the reinforced screws in there. So I'm gonna put my kit away. I don't think we need this anymore, at least today. And we're gonna set some of this aside. Okay, if I read it right, Chip, you said install the motor to the mount first, and then install the motor on the motor mount, then the whole motor plus mount to the frame. So up, down, up, down. Let's use this one since it's already got the screws out. Looking at our CAD. Important to get a nice good frame of reference. We are looking this way. So it might sound funny, but take the part, orient it the way that you see it in the CAD. At least for me, someone that's directionally challenged sometimes. Then, oh wait, no, so orient it, flip it upside down. So I had it the wrong way. I'm flipping it like this. And then we know if it's looking like that, then we should be looking at, one more time, we should be looking at the wiring connection there. Some of you are probably watching this like, man, this guy like spends way too much time checking stuff that should just be easy for most people to think about. But if I spend the time to think about it now, I'm less likely to make the mistake in the future. So we're gonna go over the top here. Again, these are facing me. Move the mic out of the way here. Zoom this out just a bit. So again, the connections are facing me. I had this part oriented the same exact way I had it in CAD. Wish I could get the perfect camera angle here, but it seems to elude me. So from there, let's get these started into the motor itself. That feels a little bit like it wants to bind, so take it easy. Just get them all started. Don't over tighten yet, or don't tighten anything yet. Just get it started to where it's grabbing. And feeling good there. Then we're going to go all the way until there starts to become some resistance. We don't push into that resistance. Okay, I think we're about ready to start tightening these down. Okay, so we have our motor on the motor mount. We have the other half of our palm nut on here, plus the spring. Raise that up a little bit here so I can see it. Now let's get this thing mounted. I don't know if there's going to be any. I think I want to do this on its side. I'm going to push the bed up as high as it goes. Getting our 2 screws that we've taken out before. Let's try that. Okay. And let's see. Oh, wait, no, this is going to go from the bottom. Yeah, we'll have to install the bottom nut and spring. So, is it better to do that with it, Chip? Is it easier to take this off and install it? Or is it better to leave it on the lead screw? Okay, he says it's a little tricky, so Chip, why don't you just write up a quick little tip for me? Take a beverage break and I'll wait for your guidance. got the impression this part would be a little bit more difficult, especially after I had such a hard time inserting it into the lead screw initially. Um, but with the right procedure, I don't think this will be too hard. Patience is key. Okay. So Chip says we're going to push the spring and the bottom nut into the nut mount while the screw and motor into the nut mount while screw the motor and lead screw in. Okay. I think I see what you're saying, man. We can do it. Now, I'm going to try to look in there. I'm glad that we did the process showing how it goes on to the lead screw before. Because we're going to basically have to repeat that process of lining up this key, or the slot rather, with the slot that's mounted into the palm nut already. So we're going to look inside and try to see if we can line it up. And you'll know if it's lined up or not. It'll push in. You know, if you can't push it in, I'm not sure if it's supposed to sit flush or not, but I'm going to cheat a little bit here. I'm going to find a marker. Maybe. But I'm going to try to mark exactly where these need to line up. Looks like right here. And right here. I know you won't be able to see that, but I've just placed 2 marks where my slots need to go. So I know, you know, once the tabs are lined up with those marks, I should be pretty close. If I really want, I don't know if black on black is gonna, it's gonna show up, but as long as it gives me some indication. Yeah, I can, even if it's just like barely scoring the the finish of this a little bit. Again, this is probably overkill, but I wonder if it'll make it just a tiny bit easier. Where'd the spring go? Right there. Spring's doing spring things. Okay. Yeah, so that slotted in there pretty easily. I'm reasonably confident with that. But probably just gonna get this started. Just like 1 or 2 screws maybe. But not enough for it to like screw out of the hole there. Just enough to where it started, but it's still sitting back down inside of the nut there. Oh, okay, so that's interesting. As you push down on this, your motor is going to start unwinding. So do be careful with that. You don't even have to twist. You just push or pull and it starts moving. So as you're pushing it in there, hold the lead screw as well. Probably easier if you just brace it against the top of the bed there. Lining my marks up. Might actually be easier to do while it's upside down. Yeah, I'm going to try it upside down. Chip says you can probably make a tool to make this install easier. That might be a good idea. I mean, I'm not sure everyone would struggle with it the way I am, but I'm struggling with it. Odds are at least one of you guys will. This, I keep wondering why I keep looking back and the nuts all the way at the bottom. And this just will, on its own, just start falling down there. I'm just going to see if I can do this upside down. That makes it any easier here. Ooh, don't drop this. Almost did. Don't want to bend the lead screw. Okay, so with it upside down, now I can hold this in place, screw it in. Okay, that's not too bad. That wasn't too bad at all. That worked out so much easier as long as it's upside down and you know where your marks are at. I don't know if the camera caught it, but that was not bad at all. Basically, just like you got to make sure that you're working with gravity, lock things in place that, you know, with this at the bottom here, I don't have to worry about the bed sliding back and forth. Like if it was, what's the word I'm looking for? Bed sliding back and forth if it was sideways. Now, I don't think there's any like alignment procedure for this. The rods are the guiding posts. The motor really just has to be close enough to push it up and down. Missing one other screw. There it is. And looking at this again, the connection facing the back of the printer. That's what we want. Easier cable management. Actually, was there, Chip, you might have actually had a step on this in the alignment procedure for the motors. I don't know if we ever got to the end of that document. Okay, yeah. So you say put the Z motors in, move the bed to the lowest position, then tighten the Z motor mount screws. So in our case, we're going to leave these just a little bit loose until we get all three in. Because if we tighten this guy up, it might make these other ones bind. So we're just going to make him hang out like that. And I'm going to check one of my other motors here. Yeah, from the looks of it, these are quite a bit longer, maybe about 50 millimeters. So we'll be we'll be cutting these. Just gonna take this brass nut off while I'm at it. And if we flip this over, it's no longer falling. But even just with one motor, we can see the process. This thing can move up and down. That's exciting, guys. I like it. With two others here. While we're talking about it, you've got a couple options for this. You can run all three motors on a single driver, or run one motor off of one driver and the other two off of a single driver. But I am a big fan of automatic bed leveling. And so if you get a board that supports, I think you'd need 6, right? 1, 2, 3, X, Y, extruder. So I guess only 5. If you have a 5 motor board, or a 5 driver board, then each one can move up and down independently and help level your bed out. And that makes it so much easier, compared to the alternative of adjusting thumb screws underneath, or manually turn the motors off and then adjust them by hand. I have to do that with my Soval, but I'm definitely going to be upgrading that to a board with independent motors, because the bed gets skewed, or especially if you've got a cheap thin aluminum bed, the thing warps, or it's got a different layout at 60 degrees Celsius compared to 90 C, depending on what you're printing. And so I just really like having it do that at the beginning of every print, level the bed out for me. And then, of course, you have your bed mesh calibration, which compensates for any deviations and warping. Even if the bed is flat at those 3 points, it compensates for the rest of the inconsistency throughout the bed. Okay. Is there anything else we want to do tonight? Let's see. Got a little bit of work to do off camera. Chip, let me know if you think there's anything else that we can do here. Kind of having fun, enjoying this process, so... I mean, we could bust out the bed, the actual bed, heated bed, but putting that in right now is just going to get in the way. It really doesn't need to go in until the last step. So, unless Chip has any other ideas, I think we might end up calling it here. And I'll print the jig tonight or tomorrow, and then we'll do some shop work tomorrow and cut some lead screws. So I'll give Chip just a minute to respond, see if he's got any thoughts. I guess I can open it up as well. I mean, it looks like we've just got 3 viewers right now, but do you guys have any questions about this printer, about the build? Any advice for what I should do with it? I've got a couple of things planned for maybe ways to spruce it up a little bit, but I'm not sure if anyone's got any questions about it. Were these M3 by 25s that we pulled out? I think so. Oops. I think I pulled out enough to to do all the reinforcements and then ended up pulling more out when I didn't need to. So I'm gonna set these in my bucket over there. Okay, yeah, I think we're gonna call this good for the night. A little shorter than usual, but in the 11th hour, we had a comment. Chip's making jokes. Awesome, dude. Cool. Well, we're gonna end the stream here tonight. Again, we'll try to do this again tomorrow. Appreciate everyone that showed up, everyone that watches this in the future. If you have any advice, questions, feedback, I'm all ears. Have a good night, guys.